Okay, we're going to be going over our semester final. Um, so we're going to go over everything that we've covered the first semester. Let's go back to the instructions. Use the slides and notebook to complete your review. Number 2, some of the activities you will be writing in your notebook. Remember, on your semester final, you cannot use your science notebook. Unit 1, plant and animal cells, levels of organization. Okay, so I'm going to read through the TEKS. 712C recognize levels of organization in plants and animals, including cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, and organisms. Okay, 712D differentiate between structure and function in a plant and animal cell organelles, including the cell membrane, the cell wall, the nucleus, the cytoplasm, the mitochondrion, the chloroplast, and the vacuole. So the first thing that we had covered in this unit was levels of organization. So levels of organization, remember, the smallest, least complex thing that is living is a cell. Okay, and then those cells together make up tissue, and then tissue together makes up organs. Organs together make up organ systems, and then all those organ systems make up the organism, which is the most complete or complex. So remember, the simplest is a cell, the most complex is the organism. They like to ask these questions in a variety of ways, so make sure you're reading the question carefully and putting them in the correct order. Okay, the next thing we're going to cover is compare and contrast plant and animal cells in your journal. So you should have a handout, or you might be writing this in your journal, depending on your science teacher. But what we're going to be doing is comparing and contrasting animal and plant cells. So if you have the handout, make sure that you start to fill in what is some of the things that they have in common. Remember, those go in the middle, and then the differences go off to the side. So go ahead and pause the video and fill in your thinking map. Okay, so just looking at the pictures, hopefully you noticed that the shape was different, and we've talked about that in class. So the animal, remember, is more of a round shape. The plant is a rectangle shape. So you should definitely fill that out in. And then they do a good job of kind of showing you the organelles that they have in common in the middle. But let's go through them. Cell membrane, remember, that's the fence gate. Cytoplasm is the jelly or the gel-like fluid inside. The mitochondrion or the mitochondria is the powerhouse, the one that makes the energy. And the nucleus is the brain. And these are the organelles they share in common. We already talked about the shape, round, and then for plants it's rectangle. An example of an animal would be humans. You could put anything else. Okay. For animals, we have the small vacuole, which is the storage bag where we keep water. And we talked about why we have a smaller one. We can go get water. Plants depend on rain. So they have a large central vacuole or just one vacuole. Cell wall plants have. Remember, we have bones, so plants need some extra structure to them, and so they have a cell wall. Chloroplasts, remember, plants are autotrophs. They do photosynthesis, so the chloroplast is where photosynthesis happens. It's the green kitchen. And then examples would be like trees or any type of green plant. Okay, on the back side of your worksheet, if you got that, you are going to kind of put down what is the cell theory, or if you're writing your notebook for your science teacher and you don't have the worksheet, you're going to be writing cell theory. And then what is the difference between prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells? So go ahead and pause your video And look back in your journal to when we did cells. Remember, that was unit 1, so it'll be back in the beginning of our journal. And come up with some stuff to write down. Okay, so hopefully you found these things too. So cell theory, remember we had an anchor chart. Living things are made up of one or more cells. Number 2, basic unit of structure and organization in organisms. And all cells come from pre-existing cells. Okay, for some differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic has no nucleus. DNA floats freely, small in size, has few cell organelles. Remember, these are things like bacteria. Eukaryotic cells, you have them, you need them, right? So plants and animals would fit under this type of cell. They are large in cells, or in size, many cell organelles, has a nucleus, has DNA in the nucleus. Okay, so here's a practice question. Cell theory was first proposed in 1838. The evidence obtained through additional scientific investigations resulted in the current cell theory. Which statement describes a component of the original cell theory that was removed because of new scientific knowledge? Okay. A, all living things are made up of cells. B, all cells come from pre-existing cells. C, cells form through spontaneous regeneration, or generation, And D, cells are the basic structure and functional units of life. So go ahead and think about that. You should have thought C, because the A, B, and D are all current thoughts of the cell theory. So no longer do we think that cells just generate. Okay, Unit 2, Human Body Systems, Physical and Chemical Change and Homeostasis. Okay, so 712B, identify the main functions of the systems of the human organism, including the circulatory, respiratory, skeletal, muscular, digestive, excretory, reproductive, integumentary, nervous, and endocrine systems. 712E, compare the functions of cell organelles to the functions of organ systems. Investigate how organisms respond to external stimuli found in the environment, such as phototropism and the fight or flight. And then describe and relate responses in organisms that may result from internal stimuli, such as wilting in plants and fever or vomiting in animals, that allow them to maintain balance. And then last one, distinguish between physical and chemical changes in matter. So at this time, you're going to be going to this website here. So go ahead. The video should take you there.